Chapter 211 Cursing the Enemy to Death, Powerful Protagonist. Marshal Shinpeng? Hanju frowned. Could it be that Ji Xianqian was really related to Marshal Shinpeng? The black shadow in his palm condensed into a face that could not be seen clearly. A cold voice sounded, "Kid. Don't interfere in the Buddhist sect's matters." The Buddhist sect, Marshal Shinpeng was a spy of the Buddhist sect. Hanju asked, "Who are you? Why are you hiding in my good friend's body?" I'm the Buddhist sect's Bodhisattva Wufa. He obtained my inheritance. I want to nurture him. Bodhisattva Wufa. Hanju immediately checked his interpersonal relationships. Marshal Shinpeng, his cultivation is unknown. As a disciple of the Tao sect's Jia school, his identity has been exposed. His physical body has been suppressed and his main soul has been forced to reincarnate. However, he has a backup plan. He wants to use his soul fragment to nurture a successor before saving himself. He also wants to sow discord between the heavenly court and the Buddhist sect. Because you obstructed him, he has developed hatred towards you. Current hatred points: 2 stars, disciple of the Tao sect's Jia school, a spy disguised as a spy. Hanju was speechless. However, the Jia school aroused Hanju's vigilance. Didn't the Tao sect decline? Could it be that the divine investiture calamity in the myths really existed? Did the author receive a revelation in his dreams that allowed him to write the story? Was it an actual part of history? Hanju thought further. Let me give you a piece of advice. Mind your own business. Marshal Shinpeng's voice sounded again. He deliberately disguised himself as another voice, afraid that Hanju would notice. The Heavenly Emperor knew that he still had a backup plan. He would really be finished. Hanju thought for a moment and said, "Go find the others." He let go, and the black aura immediately fled. Marshal Shinpeng has a favorable impression of you. Current favorability, 1 star. Hanju's face twitched. What a fickle man. Ji Xianqian asked nervously, "What does the Buddhist sect want? Why are they targeting?" Hanju stared at him and said seriously, "Maybe it's because you're weak. If it were me, it's impossible for him to succeed." Ji Xianqian, why are you back? I thought I had a mental demon, so I came to find you. Now that it's settled, why don't we fight? You'll die. Are you serious? Forget it, then. Ji Xianqian was frightened and decided not to take the risk. He really missed Hanju after not seeing him for hundreds of years. He asked curiously, "Chow Chow, what realm are you at now?" Hanju said, "Almost the same as the heavenly general." Ji Xianqian secretly heaved a sigh of relief. Was also a heavenly general. Perhaps the difference in strength was great, but their cultivation realms shouldn't be too far apart. The heavenly court is taking sides recently. Be careful, Hanju reminded. Ji Xianqian was from the same mortal world as him. He didn't want him to die. Of course, if Ji Xianqian insisted on courting death, there was nothing he could do. Ji Xianqian nodded. The two of them chatted for a while before Ji Xianqian returned. Once the mental demon was resolved, he had nothing to worry about. He only wanted to go back and cultivate. Hanju also returned. 4 years later, Hanju took out the heavenly Tao token and told Deitai about Marshal Shinpeng pretending to be Bodhisattva Wufa. He also asked him not to spread the news. After a few years, Marshal Shinpeng should not suspect him. How do you know about this? Deitai asked suspiciously. Hanju said, "As long as you get the information, why do you have to ask this? Just investigate if it's true." He couldn't be bothered to fabricate a lie in case he had to make more in the future. Deitai fell silent and then cut off the connection. Hanju continued to cultivate. Although the cultivation world was in turmoil and fighting was endless, from the overall perspective of the Scarlet Cloud world, it was considered calm and there were no calamities. During Hanju's cultivation, Feng Liang ascended. Hanju recommended Feng Liang to Deitai and asked the heavenly court to take care of him. Deitai agreed with a smile. He could also tell that Feng Liang was the son of heaven and earth of the Scarlet Cloud world. Even if Hanju didn't say anything, the heavenly court would accept him. 30 years passed in the blink of an eye. While cultivating, Hanju took out the Book of Misfortune and started cursing the enemy while checking his emails. your grand disciple Feng Liang received guidance from an immortal god. His cultivation has increased greatly. Your Dao companion Xian Qingjun was attacked by demons, X7940. Your good friend Marshal Shinpeng was attacked by your good friend, the Heavenly Emperor. His soul fragment has dissipated and his body has been dealt with by the heavenly punishment. Your good friend Di Taibai was attacked by an immortal emperor and was severely injured. Because of your curse and the bad luck of your grand disciple Su Qi, your enemy Taoist Dan Qing's cultivation was crippled and fell to the Grand Unity Heaven Immortal Realm. Your enemy Vermilion Bird suffered from Qi deviation due to your curse and turned into a ferocious beast. Your enemy Vermilion Bird was killed by the Vermilion Bird Divine Clan because he harmed an area. He died and his Tao dissipated. Your good friend Imo Fujo cultivated the Devil Race's cultivation technique and summoned the true Devil servants of the Devil Race. Han Ju was pleasantly surprised. Vermilion Bird was finally cursed to death by him. As for Taoist Dan Qing, his cultivation level had declined. That was good. Han Ju's goal was to kill Taoist Dan Qing before he could settle scores with him. Even if Han Ju's cultivation was stronger, he still had to be cautious. Since ancient times, there had been many cases of the weak defeating the strong. He couldn't be careless on the path of cultivation. If he was careless, he would lose and die. Han Ju also noticed Marshal Shinpeng's situation. He could only silently sympathize. It couldn't be helped. The factions were different. Han Ju had to make the heavenly court stronger. There was no reason to help the enemy. The stronger the heavenly court was, the more stable Han Ju's cultivation would be. Han Ju looked down and became happier. Dao Comprehension Sword suddenly said, "Master, the woman you're paying attention to is in danger." Han Ju was busy cursing and said, "It's fine. She can survive. She's surrounded. There are more than 1,000 enemies. Believe her. She's severely injured." Oh. Han Ju frowned. Should he put down the Book of Misfortune and save Li Yao? He had quite a good impression of her. Dao Comprehension Sword cried out, "There's no need. She killed all the enemies with one strike." Han Ju raised his eyebrows. Not bad. Those who could gain an illogical burst of strength were all model protagonists. Another enemy is here. It's very similar to when the Heavenly Court cleaned up the mortal world. Dao Comprehension Sword exclaimed again. Han Ju's hand holding the Book of Misfortune trembled, was in a dilemma. Did he have to put down the Book of Misfortune and save her? Impressive. She actually killed the enemy again. Impressive. Dao Comprehension Sword's tone actually carried a hint of admiration. It could be seen how strong Li Yao was. She could make Dao Comprehension Sword change from jealousy to admiration. Han Ju forced himself not to extend his divine sense to watch the battle, lest it affected him from cursing the enemy. Dao Comprehension Sword fell silent and began to watch seriously. Han Ju didn't say anything. After a while, Dao Comprehension Sword sighed. This person is so powerful. I feel that no one can defeat her. Han Ju asked, "How's the situation?" Dao Comprehension Sword said, "She killed all the enemies. She's probably on the run now." Han Ju was even more curious about Li Yao now. She could even kill enemies from the upper world. She was worth roping in. Several months later, Han Ju finally cursed all his enemies. He put down the Book of Misfortune and went to the 9 Heavens Galaxy water. Li Yao was cultivating in a cave. She was still dressed in white, and her expression was calm. It was difficult to imagine that she had experienced a fierce battle a few months ago. Chapter 212 Hidden Sect, thinking of becoming the Heavenly Emperor. Han Ju looked at Li Yao for a while and probed with his divine sense into the 9 Heavens Galaxy water, secretly giving Li Yao a 6 Paths insignia. He hesitated to befriend her, and the cave. Li Yao seemed to have sensed something and suddenly opened her eyes. She frowned and looked around the cave. Strange. Li Yao muttered to herself. She raised her right hand, placed her index and middle fingers together, and swiped them in front of her. Her eyes turned purple. Han Ju was amused. What was this yin-yang eye? Han Ju immediately sent her a voice transmission. Your perception is really good. You can actually sense my existence. He deliberately acted mysterious. Li Yao frowned even more and asked, Senior, what do you mean? Ever since she had betrayed her family, her heart had been frozen. She didn't believe anyone. Hanju's voice made her think that an expert from the Liu family had come. After all, she had killed many of their experts half a year ago. Hanju asked, "Are you in Immortal World?" Li Yao was even more confused from the other party's question. He shouldn't be from the Liu family, it's Immortal World. Senior, are you from the Immortal World? Li Yao asked. Hanju thought for a moment and decided to be honest with her. He couldn't be bothered to be mysterious. Hanju smiled and said, "We're actually fated to meet." Li Yao was silent, feeling inexplicably terrified. There was actually such a divine object in this world. Hanju could see her. What about the other mighty figures? There should be more than one pool of 9 heavens galaxy water. Countless eyes were probably staring at her. Hanju saw her horror and said, "The 9 heavens galaxy water can only show a son of heaven and earth that is not already projected. In other words, other than me, no one is watching you. I don't spy on you every day and night. I cultivate most of the time. Your personality suits me very well. If you want to cultivate diligently and not be disturbed, you can seek refuge with me." Li Yao felt better, but she still asked warily, "What do I have to do in return?" Hanju said, "We will be bound together for good or bad. As people of the same lineage, we will help each other when in need." Li Yao asked, "I only need to help when the sect is in danger, right?" Where is Senior?" "Scarlet Cloud World." "Oh. Not the Immortal World?" "It's also a mortal world." Li Yao was silent. Someone from the mortal world was spying on her. Li Yao said, "My enemies are Grand Unity Heaven Immortals. I killed a Heaven Immortal like crushing a nut." Li Yao was finally moved. Was he really an expert? This matter cannot be made public. "If you want to find me, come quietly." Hanju was very satisfied with Li Yao's talent. On the Cultivate diligently become Immortal Mountain, she would also be in the top 3. Most importantly, Li Yao wasn't reckless. Once she arrived at the Cultivate diligently become Immortal Mountain, she would definitely cultivate in seclusion. Li Yao took a deep breath and said, "All right, I'll try to find the Scarlet Cloud World." At this moment, she had nowhere to go. It was naturally a good thing that a senior was willing to take her in. Hanju responded and then severed the divine sense. This was also a test. If Li Yao could find the Scarlet Cloud World, Hanju would accept her. If not, it would mean that Li Yao's luck wasn't that good. Li Yao fell into deep thought and hesitated to trust Hanju. On second thought, what did he want from her? Beauty? Impossible. Although Li Yao was confident in her looks, she wasn't the number one in the world in that department. With his ability, if he wanted someone beautiful, he only needed to wave his hand. Perhaps this was really her fortuitous encounter. Li Yao has a favorable impression of you. Current favorability, 1 star. Hanju looked at the notification and couldn't help but smile. Only 1 star, what a vigilant woman. He continued to cultivate. He had a feeling that if Li Yao wanted to come, she would definitely be able to rush over. Dao Comprehension Sword couldn't help but rejoice after hearing Hanju and Li Yao's conversation. Fortunately, she had met her master early. If she had to cross worlds like Li Yao, she might have died on the way. Time passed. To some, it was very slow, but to others, it was very fast. The Jade Pure Sacred Sect had developed very smoothly over the years. Taoist 9 cauldrons hardly disturbed Hanju. He encountered trouble, Morongqi would take action. At this point, Hanju no longer needed to personally resolve the problem for the Jade Pure Sacred Sect. Hanju was already a legend in the hearts of the disciples of the sect. Even many new elders and deacons had never seen him before. It had been more than 400 years since the Battle of the Heavenly Court. Even in the cultivation world, it had been a long time. Zhou Mingyue also began to rise. She often followed Morongqi to do missions for the Jade Pure Sacred Sect and gain combat experience. Yang Tiandong and the Chaotic Heavenly Dog returned from time to time. The Chaotic Heavenly Dog had previously left the mortal world and gone to another world. It had obtained quite a fortuitous encounter, and its cultivation level had directly reached the 8th level of the body integration realm. It was already on par with the Black Hell Chicken. the black-hell chicken was finally stimulated and began to cultivate diligently. As the cultivate diligently become immortal mountain became stronger, the black-hell chicken felt that it didn't matter if it cultivated or not. In any case, if the sky collapsed, there would be others to hold it up. Xu Shuren's cultivation had always been stronger than Zhou Mingyue's despite not cultivating diligently. Tu Linger was already a Mahayana realm cultivator. She was talented and willing to cultivate diligently, so her cultivation level naturally increased quickly. The three-headed Wirm king had transcended the tribulation not long ago and successfully became a loose immortal. Apart from Hanju, there were 4 other immortals on the cultivate diligently become immortal mountain. They were the 2 golden crows, Longhao, and the three-headed Wirm king. The three-headed Wirm king had more than 3 heads already, but he liked this name mainly because he was used to it. About 26 years passed, Hanju walked out of the cave abode and called his disciples to the Fusong tree. From now on, our lineage will be called the Hidden Sect. What do you think? Hanju asked with a smile. Since he asked, everyone naturally had no objections and started to flatter him. The Hidden Sect is good, we're a sect hidden from the world. This name is better than the rest. Haha, it's better than the Hidden School. That sounds awkward. We finally have a name. From now on, I'm a second-generation disciple of the Hidden Sect. Why not a first-generation disciple? Grandmaster isn't a disciple. According to the legacy, Master is the first generation no matter what. Everyone was really happy. With a name, everyone had a stronger sense of belonging and cohesion. Longhao chuckled and said, "In the future, I'll be the war god of the Hidden Sect. If anyone dares to provoke our Hidden Sect, I won't let them off. When I become the Heavenly Emperor, the immortal position of the Heavenly Court will be chosen by us Hidden Sect disciples." Hanju glared at him and scolded, "What nonsense are you talking about? How can the matter of the immortal god be taken lightly? As for the Heavenly Emperor position, don't even think about it. He's asking to get killed." The Heavenly Emperor had yet to die, but he was already thinking of snatching his position. The others scolded Longhao as well. Usually, they didn't dare to provoke him. Now that there was a chance, they naturally had to follow suit. Morong Chi snorted. "I'm the war god of the Hidden Sect." He had never been convinced by this little uncle master. He believed that he would surpass Longhao one day. Longhao didn't agree, but facing his master, he could only smile and did not dare to refute. He had always been in awe of Hanju. The reason was that no matter how strong he became, Hanju still made him feel unfathomable. He had heard that Hanju had once fought an immortal god alone and forced the Heavenly Court to give up clearing the world. His father had definitely sent him to the Cultivate diligently become Immortal Mountain because of Hanju's strength. Chapter 213 Heavenly Court's Plan, Captured Good Brother. After having a name, there must be rules. Hidden Sect disciples are not to cause trouble or bully the innocent, of course. If anyone bullies a disciple of the Hidden Sect, as fellow disciples, you must retaliate. When you take in disciples in the future, don't make abrupt decisions. Every new disciple has to be accepted by me. Most importantly, you are not allowed to kill your fellow disciples. Hanju said seriously. There were not many rules in the sect. After all, there were not many disciples. The disciples promised that they would remember this. Hanju stood up and waved his right hand, bringing Longhao to the void above the Scarlet Cloud world. This was the first time Longhao came to the void. He was brought here by Di Tai Bai when he was young, but he didn't see the void along the way. He was shocked and nervous. "Master, why did you bring me here?" Longhao asked. He thought that he had said something wrong and angered Hanju. Hanju said, "I want to see your current strength." Boom! Hanju directly unleashed the reincarnation sword intent and suppressed him. In an instant, Longhao's face turned pale and his body trembled. Ever since he was born, this was the first time he felt like he was facing death. An unprecedented fear enveloped his heart. At this moment, his mind went blank. After 10 breaths of time, Hanju finally retracted his reincarnation sword intent. Hanju said expressionlessly, "Do you understand?" Longhao was stunned and sweating profusely. He carefully asked, "Understand what?" Hanju said, "There's always someone stronger than you." After staying on the Cultivate diligently become Immortal Mountain for so long, do you feel that you're already very powerful? Little do you know that the world outside is even more dangerous than you think. Your senior and junior disciples are mortals, but they've been cultivating diligently. Do you think you've really left them behind? You're the son of the Heavenly Emperor. You should be far ahead of them, but you aren't. The Heavenly Emperor is not the strongest either. Why did he send you here? It's because this place is safe. If you were in the Heavenly Court, you would have died long ago. There has been internal strife there. They have many enemies. If you go to the immortal world, you might die at any time. Hanju's words were like sharp blades piercing into Longhao's heart. He was really afraid. He also realized that he was too arrogant. Before today, he had always felt that he was already very strong. His divine sense covered the mortal world. Other than Hanju, no one could compare to him. In such an environment, he would inevitably be arrogant. Hanju continued, "However, I don't expect you to do anything for the hidden sect. I don't need it either. We share a master-disciple relationship and I watched you grow up. I naturally hope that you can live well forever." Longhao's favorability towards you has increased. Current favorability, 5 stars. Longhao's eyes were red. His heart was filled with excitement and guilt. He clenched his fists and said, "Master, I was wrong." Hanju smiled and said, "You're my disciple. You have also grown up. Don't always bully juniors in the future. You have to be an example, understand?" Longhao nodded. Then, Hanju brought him back to the Cultivate diligently become Immortal Mountain. After this day, Longhao changed. He was no longer as outspoken, but he didn't lose his confidence. He only became more restrained and no longer bullied Morongqi, Zhou Mingyue, and Xu Shuren. Longhao cultivated diligently, which really stimulated the others. After all, Longhao had the greatest background. If he cultivated diligently, who could catch up? Inside the connate cave abode, Dao Comprehension Sword couldn't help but ask, "Did you scare Hauer?" She had watched Longhao grow up, so she was naturally concerned. "What are you saying? Why would I scare him? I'm educating him." Hanju said angrily. Dao Comprehension Sword curled her lips, thinking, "Come on. You used to scare me like this." She could only hold it in and not say it out loud. Numinous Palace. The Heavenly Emperor sat at the bottom and looked at the mirror floating in the hall with a satisfied smile. Deities smiled and said, "Your Majesty, this Hanju is quite capable in educating his disciples. His Little Highness has also taken in some of his temperament." The Heavenly Emperor said, "How old is this brat? He's already after my throne." Deities' expression changed slightly. "Your Majesty, Little Highness didn't say it on purpose. He doesn't know what the Heavenly Emperor entails. He only thinks that you are powerful," Deities explained with a smile. The position of the Crown Prince of the Heavenly Court wasn't so simple. The position of the Heavenly Emperor was never based on an inheritance system. Moreover, there were so many sons. If news of this spread, how many siblings would he offend? Have you investigated the disciples of the Heavenly Court? The Heavenly Emperor asked. Deities nodded and said, "It's already recorded." "Where's the Divine General? Have his injuries recovered?" "He's recovered. He's cultivating at the 4 Extreme Emperors' place. The 4 Emperors are very satisfied with him. The Divine General might learn a mystical power from them. Let him cultivate. It will also give the other Heavenly Generals a chance." "Then, what should we do next?" "I want to go to Kunlun personally." Deities frowned and asked hesitantly, "If we go to Kunlun at this time?" The Heavenly Emperor snorted. "All along, it has been others who found trouble with the Heavenly Court. I've already had enough. The Heavenly Court has to display the temperament of the Lord of all worlds." Deities had a headache, but he did not dare to refute. He understood one thing. The peace of the immortal world was about to be stirred. 20 years later, Hanju was still a distance away from the perfected reincarnation mystic Immortal Realm. It wasn't that easy to become a golden immortal. Hanju took out the Book of Misfortune and started cursing the enemies while checking his emails. Your grand disciple Feng Liang was attacked by an immortal god. X2, your grand disciple Feng Liang gained an epiphany beside the heavenly river and his cultivation increased greatly. Your good friend Huang Jihao was attacked by demons. X 1987, your disciple Su Qi spread bad luck. The Dragon Immortal Island encountered a heavenly tribulation that was hard to come by in tens of thousands of years. More than half of them died. Your good friend Ji Xianchen was attacked by the true dragon race. X10228. Your good friend Zhang Guxing was attacked by a divine palace immortal emperor and was severely injured. Han Ju suddenly frowned. He noticed that Zhang Guxing was severely injured and was even harmed by a divine palace immortal emperor. What happened? Han Ju immediately comprehended the Sword Dao and quickly entered the Sword Dao River. However, he didn't see Zhang Guxing. Han Ju had a bad feeling. Did something happen to him? You're finally here. A voice entered Han Ju's ears, startling him so much that he turned to look in its direction. A figure stood not far away, staring at him. Zhang Guxing asked me to tell you something, the figure continued. Han Ju asked in surprise, what happened to my good brother? The figure replied, he was taken away by the divine palace and won't return here anymore. From now on, you will guard the Sword Dao River. I will pass the divine seal to you. Han Ju asked in a low voice, is he all right? The shadow sighed. His enemy took up a higher position and imprisoned him. Back to the topic, he asked me to tell you this, perhaps you're right. I hope you can follow your Dao heart. Follow his Dao heart, keep hiding. Han Ju's heart sank. He was about to speak when the shadow suddenly raised his hand. Then, a beam of light shot out from his index finger and hit him. Chapter 214 Guarding the Sword Dao River, Reincarnation Avatar. After a while, Han Ju regained consciousness. He opened his eyes and saw the Sword Dao River again. The figure from before had already disappeared. Han Ju felt that everything had changed. The Sword Dao River actually felt extremely familiar to him. He could even spread his divine sense, this feeling. It was as if he was observing his storage ring. From now on, he was the guardian of the Sword Dao River. He could see the true appearance of the various figures. He could control the mysterious power of the Sword Dao River and expel people. He could also enter and leave the Sword Dao River at will. From now on, the Sword Dao River would really become his home. However, Han Ju wasn't surprised. Instead, his heart was heavy. Zhang Guxing treated him quite well. When he was young and ignorant, he had even saved him. Otherwise, he would have long been crushed to death by the heavenly Dao of the Sword Dao River. Moreover, whenever Han Ju was puzzled, he would ask Zhang Guxing. The two of them were master and friend. Han Ju said, Senior, who captured my good brother? He believed that the person had yet to leave. Indeed, Divine Palace's immortal emperor, Yu Tianbao. What? You want to save him? Alone? The figure's voice sounded again. Han Ju replied, I'm not an immortal emperor's match. I just wanted to know. Sword God Emperor's favorability towards you has decreased. Current favorability, 2 stars. This was the Sword God Emperor, reduced favorability just like that. Something was wrong. Could it be that the Sword God Emperor still hoped that he would avenge Zhang Guxing? How dare he think of that? Wait, could it be that the Sword God Emperor wanted him to ask the Heavenly Court for help? Han Ju fell into deep thought. The Sword God Emperor's cold snort sounded again. Let me remind you one last time. You're guarding the Sword Dao River now, so there's only one authority. You can't do whatever you want. If someone whose cultivation realm far exceeds yours enters the Sword Dao River, you won't be able to control them. Don't offend a mighty figure because of this. Han Ju understood this logic. If he could rely on the Sword Dao River to act fearlessly, Zhang Guxing wouldn't have been caught. In his opinion, the Sword Dao River was like a company. He was a security guard. He could expel people in certain situations, but he wasn't the owner of the company. He had only obtained a key. Han Ju bowed and returned to the connate cave abode. He took out the heavenly Dao token and contacted Di Tai Bai. Senior, do you know the Divine Palace's immortal emperor, Yu Tianbao? Han Ju asked with a voice transmission. Di Tai Bai replied, I know. The newly appointed Divine Punishment Elder of the Divine Palace is an immortal emperor existence. He has great authority in the Divine Palace. What? He has his eyes on you? He sounded nervous. Hanju said, he caught a good brother of mine. Is there a way to save him? Brother? Where did you get this brother from? The one guarding the Sword Dao River. His name is Zhang Guxing. What? Zhang Guxing is your good brother? That's right. Your aptitude in the Sword Dao is so terrifying, you'll naturally encounter him. Immediately after, Di Taibai fell into deep thought. Hanju showed a frown. Its teeth seemed that things were very difficult. If it was in the past, Di Taibai would have agreed immediately. After a long while, Di Taibai finally spoke. Zhang Guxing was once the #1 sword cultivator in the Divine Palace. He was unparalleled in his generation, but only had the sword in his heart. The palace master of the Divine Palace once wanted to betroth his daughter to him, but he rejected it. The daughter was disheartened and married Yu Tianbao instead. Although he married her, Yu Tianbao has always felt that he's inferior to Zhang Guxing. Tens of thousands of years ago, when Zhang Guxing went out to train, he was surrounded and attacked by immortal emperors. For some reason, he abandoned his body and his soul left the Divine Palace. He has guarded the Sword Dao River since. It's almost impossible to save Zhang Guxing. Recently, the Heavenly Court developed a good relationship with the Divine Palace. At most, we can help you ensure he's alive. Di Taibai's promise made Hanju heave a sigh of relief. Being alive was better than nothing. That's fine, too. Hanju replied as Di Taibai agreed to the matter. Di Taibai continued, leave this to the Heavenly Court. Don't rashly stand out. Your talent is terrifying, but your strength is not high enough. You're not an immortal emperor's match. Hanju replied, I understand. After severing the connection with his divine sense, Hanju took out the Book of Misfortune and started cursing Yu Tianbao. There could be many Yu Tianbaos in the myriad worlds, but there was only one in the Divine Palace. Why cursing Yu Tianbao of the Divine Palace? Hanju would definitely not curse wrongly. 10 years later, Hanju cursed the Divine Palace's Yu Tianbao again and checked his emails at the same time. Your good friend Heavenly Emperor discussed the Tao with a mighty figure and benefited greatly. His cultivation has increased greatly. Your good friend Di Hongya was attacked by the Divine Palace's Immortal Emperor, X4. Your good friend Sword God Emperor was attacked by the Golden Crow Divine Clan, X120. Your good friend Sword God Emperor was severely injured. Fortunately, a mighty figure saved him. Your good friend Zhang Guxing has comprehended the true meaning of the Sword Dao and comprehended a heavenly Dao mystical power. Your grand disciple Feng Liang encountered a fortuitous encounter and obtained the supreme cultivation technique of the Dao sect. Your good friend Zhou Fan was attacked by a demon saint. The entire sect was slaughtered. Hanju was a little disappointed that he didn't see Yu Tianbao being affected by the curse. However, seeing that Zhang Guxing could still comprehend a mystical power meant that he was doing well. He checked his interpersonal relationships and discovered that Zhang Guxing's cultivation level had become unknown. In other words, Zhang Guxing was an immortal emperor now. Brother is so cool, he escaped danger. Hanju also noticed the Heavenly Emperor's recent situation. To be able to discuss the Tao with the Heavenly Emperor and increase his cultivation, the mighty figure was definitely not an ordinary person. Who could it be? Hanju was curious. In addition, why were the Golden Crow Divine Clan and Divine Palace fighting? The mothers of the two Golden Crows were very fierce as they fought against the 4 immortal emperors. The immortal world was truly interesting. Even a mighty immortal emperor would make a move, let alone ordinary cultivators. Fortunately, he did not ascend. Otherwise, there would be many problems. Look at Zhou Fan. He had just joined a sect, but it got slaughtered. Hanju was glad. Several months later, Hanju cursed all the enemies. 3 lines of words suddenly appeared in front of him. Detected that the Heavenly Court was attacked by a mysterious mighty figure. You have the following choices. 1. Immediately ascend and help the Heavenly Court. You can obtain a Heavenly Dao Spirit Stone and a mystical power inheritance. 2. Don't ascend for the time being. Continue cultivating and you can obtain a mystical power inheritance. Hanju cursed silently. You want me to ascend? Impossible. He silently chose the second option. You choose not to ascend for the time being. You obtained a mystical power inheritance. Congratulations on obtaining mystical power, reincarnation avatar. Reincarnation avatar. You can create an avatar with independent thoughts, and it will never betray its master. It can freely travel through the worlds and be unaffected by karma. This mystical power wasn't bad. He could create a clone to guard the Sword Dao River. That was all. Hanju didn't want his clone to cause trouble for him. After some thinking, Hanju began to inherit the reincarnation avatar. Another year passed. A line of words suddenly appeared in front of Hanju, who was cultivating. Detected bearer of connate Providence, check its origin. Hanju frowned and immediately chose to check. Crown Prince Tenza, mid-stage Grand Unity Golden Immortal Realm, son of the Demon Court's Demon Emperor. He has inherited the soul of the ancient demon race's demon saint and is extremely talented. This time, he followed the demon court to attack the heavenly court. His mission is to clean up the heavenly court's mortal worlds. Chapter 215 Deities shock clean up the mortal worlds again? Are you guys serious? Hanju cursed in his heart, feeling that these so-called immortals were crazy. If you want to fight, so be it. But don't keep involving mortals. However, Crown Prince Tenza was at the mid-stage Grand Unity Golden Immortal Realm. It was a little troublesome. He wondered if he could kill him instantly. Moreover, this fellow had a powerful background. He was the son of the Demon Emperor. Wasn't he equivalent to Long Hao and Long Shan? Hanju was worried. In the distant void, the heavenly puppet opened its eyes and saw a figure staring at the scarlet cloud world. He was Crown Prince Tenza. Crown Prince Tenza wore black scales, and his long hair fluttered in the wind. On careful look, he was actually a group of venomous snakes with their tongues out. His face was cold and his eyes were dark red. It was obvious that he was a vicious person. He didn't immediately attack but observed the scarlet cloud world. This world's providence is rising the fastest in the heavenly court, but the mortals in this world are not strong. It's a little strange. Crown Prince Tenza pondered silently. At this moment, the heavenly puppet asked, "What do you mean?" Crown Prince Tenza knew at a glance that he was a puppet. He said calmly, "Come out and fight me." How arrogant. Hanju silently entered the simulation trial and asked the heavenly puppet to stall for time. Why must you do this? Did our mortal world offend you? The heavenly puppet asked without another word. Crown Prince Tenza raised his hand and struck out with his palm. Boundless dermic powers bombarded the heavenly puppet. The heavenly puppet instinctively used the heaven-earth mystic yellow world-piercing sword finger to block. This heavenly puppet also had the cultivation of the reincarnation mystic immortal realm. Although it didn't have Hanju's combat experience, it still relied on its own dermic powers to successfully block Crown Prince Tenza's attack. Crown Prince Tenza's eyes narrowed. Even the puppet could stop him. At this moment, a figure appeared beside Crown Prince Tenza. He glanced over and saw Hanju. What a handsome man! A thought appeared in Crown Prince Tenza's mind. He immediately raised his palm and struck. His palm transformed into a ferocious beast claw, and wisps of black aura emerged from his palm. Roar! A terrifying roar sounded like thunder. Hanju held the primordial judgment sword in his hand and slashed with it. Countless sword shadows erupted like a torrent that drowned the Crown Prince. In the torrent of sword shadows, the expression of Crown Prince Tenza changed drastically. Oh no! How can this fellow's sword chi be so powerful? Crown Prince Tenza screamed in his heart as he immediately moved and jumped out. As soon as he appeared, he felt a terrifying sword chi behind him, immediately took out an iron halberd and was about to swing it when he was drowned by countless sword shadows. Crap! Crown Prince Tenza was horrified as his body was quickly destroyed. His essence soul was protected by a mysterious force and did not suffer the destruction of the sword chi. Hanju attacked again. He raised his left hand and used six-path soul absorption to pull Crown Prince Tenza in front of him. Wait! I'm the son of the Demon Court's Demon Emperor. You can't kill me. Crown Prince Tianzi shouted in horror. Crown Prince Tianzi has developed hatred towards you. Current hatred points, 3 stars, Hanju frowned. Without another word, he used 3 pure world cleansing again to kill Crown Prince Tianzi's essence soul. Since they had already become enemies, he had to kill. If you didn't develop hatred, we could still sit down and chat. Crown Prince Tianzi was dead. Hanju heaved a sigh of relief and immediately returned to the connate cave abode. The void returned to silence as the sword chi dissipated like mist. After returning to the connate cave abode, Hanju's heart pounded. Would the old one come after he killed the young? Hanju was already prepared to face an endless wave of enemies. 2 hours, 4 hours, 10 hours, 2 days passed. Seeing that he didn't receive any hatred notifications, Hanju was puzzled. Could it be that this Crown Prince Tianzi was not highly regarded by the Demon Emperor? He was the Crown Prince. Wait, the introduction was about the son of a Demon Emperor, not the Demon Court's Crown Prince. He was really the Demon Court's Crown Prince. Why would the Demon Emperor send him to the enemy's lair? The more Hanju thought about it, the more he felt that it was so. Time passed. After Crown Prince Tianzi died, the Scarlet Cloud world was not attacked again. 10 years later, Hanju was cursing the enemies when Deities suddenly contacted him through the Heavenly Dao token. Hanju multitasked and contacted him with his divine sense. Recently, the Heavenly Court was attacked by the Demon Court. Many mortal worlds were devastated. Did anything happen to you? Deities asked. Hanju replied, I met a Grand Unity Golden Immortal. Deities immediately became nervous and asked, how's the situation? Has he already left? He's dead. Huh? Deities was shocked. Hanju could already kill Golden Immortals. Wasn't that even more ridiculous than the reincarnated Immortal Emperor of the Divine Palace? Hanju was only 1,000 years old. Although the person from the Divine Palace could kill a Golden Immortal when he was a true Immortal, he was far older. Deities was shocked. He suddenly realized that he and His Majesty might have underestimated Hanju. Deities asked anxiously, who came looking for trouble? Hanju didn't hide anything. He also needed the Heavenly Court to help him, son of the Demon Emperor. Crown Prince Tianzi. Since you knew his identity, you still dared to kill him? Deities asked with a strange tone. Hanju asked, I have the backing of the Heavenly Court. Could it be that the Heavenly Court is afraid of the Demon Court? Impossible. Our Heavenly Court is the #1 in the myriad worlds. Deities was silent. He couldn't refute that. Don't tell anyone about this. I'll tell the Heavenly Emperor first. Don't worry, the Heavenly Court will always be your most reliable background. Deities cut off the connection after saying this. Hanju didn't mind and continued cursing the enemy while reading his emails. Several months later, Hanju began to create his clone. This reincarnation avatar was going to be used to guard the Sword Dao River. 3 years later, Hanju finally created a clone that looked exactly like himself. Dao Comprehension Sword was dumbfounded. Hanju took out a mask and let the reincarnation avatar wear it. From now on, you're Liu Bei. Hanju smiled and waved his hand to send the reincarnation avatar into the Sword Dao River. The reincarnation avatar's cultivation level was about the same as his, but it didn't inherit his cultivation technique memories. Although Hanju could send his divine sense into the reincarnation avatar and control its body, he was also afraid of potential issues. Therefore, he couldn't let the reincarnation avatar be the exact same as him. Dao Comprehension Sword asked curiously, Master, Liu Bei is your? Hanju replied, it's just a clone. Didn't you go to the Sword Dao River before? He will guard it in the future. Dao Comprehension Sword's talent in the Sword Dao was also very strong. She had gone to the Sword Dao River before. Where's that senior? Dao Comprehension Sword asked curiously. Hanju said, he left because he had something to do. Dao Comprehension Sword clicked her tongue in wonder. Master, how did you manage to get this position? With your talent, you won't understand. Hanju rolled his eyes at her and went to the 9 Heavens Galaxy water. He discovered that Li Yao didn't try to find the Scarlet Cloud world. Instead, she hid in a valley and cultivated. She was quite cautious and knew how to hide elsewhere. She was probably afraid that Hanju was tricking her. Master, something happened to Morong Chi. Tu Linger's voice came from outside the cave abode, her tone urgent. Hanju immediately walked out of the cave abode. Morong Chi twitched under the fusong tree. His face was sinister and his body twitched violently. No one dared to approach him. Chapter 216 Awakening of the War God, Nine-Tailed Demon Empress. Hanju quickly came to Morong Chi and squatted down. He first used his divine sense to check his body. He wasn't injured, there was a problem with his essence soul. He probed Morong Chi's mind with his divine sense, and soon, he saw a shocking scene. Blood rained down as the world darkened. Dozens of terrifying figures fought in the sky. The terrifying aura caused the ground to collapse continuously. Countless bolts of lightning connected the sky and the ground as if the chaos had just begun. It was terrifying. Hanju saw a figure emitting divine light with the strongest aura. He held two halberds of light in his hand and stepped on the fire of the earth. His body was surrounded by lightning, and there was a huge cauldron above his head. It absorbed the spirit chi in the surroundings and formed a world-destroying wind, War God. The moment Hanju saw him, he thought of this title. And no matter how many enemies surrounded him, he remained still and suppressed them. With my command, the heavenly Tao will listen and slay the enemy. A domineering voice sounded, shocking as if it came from the ancient gods at the beginning of the flood of history. In an instant, countless bolts of lightning struck down, illuminating the world. It shook until Hanju's divine sense was severed and his consciousness returned to reality. Hanju frowned and fell into deep thought. Master, how is he? Tu Linger asked. The others also looked at Hanju nervously. Even Long Hao was very nervous. He liked Morong Chi a lot. Ever since Feng Liang left, their relationship had improved by leaps and bounds. Although there was a difference in seniority, they felt like brothers. Sun Chang'an suddenly said, he might have awakened his memories from his previous life and is fusing with them. This feeling was too familiar to him. However, he wasn't as miserable as Morong Chi when he awakened. Oh? Morong Chi has a previous life, the three-headed Wirm king asked in surprise. The black hell chicken cried out, no wonder. I've always felt that this kid's talent is ridiculous. No matter how I chase him, I can't catch up. So, Morong Chi also had a powerful background, Hanju said. He's fine for the time being. Let's wait for him to recover. The others began to discuss. Curious about Morong Chi's identity in his previous life, there were many legends of reincarnations of immortals in the mortal world. Hanju didn't return to his cave abode. He sat in front of Morong Chi and waited patiently. 4 days passed before Morong Chi recovered. When he opened his eyes, the first person he saw was Hanju. With a complicated expression, he slowly said, Grandmaster, Hanju said, no matter what, this will always be your home. Here, you don't have to worry about anything. Just say whatever you want. You don't have to worry about whether I can accept it or not. Actually, I know everything about you. Morong Chi's pupils constricted as his emotions became even more complicated. Hanju teased. Do you know where your master came from? He's an ancient spiritual ginseng from the Buddhist sect. He was once cursed by the gods and Buddhas and went through a love tribulation in the cycle of reincarnation. He suffered terribly. These words attracted the attention of the others. Sun Chang'an had such an identity, no wonder he was so obsessed with Tiener. Sun Chang'an's expression was calm and indifferent. The black hell chicken was pleasantly surprised. Looks like I'm really a phoenix. Master didn't lie to me. Since Morong Chi and Sun Chang'an both had powerful backgrounds, so did it. The others couldn't help but let their imagination run wild. Who didn't want to have a prominent identity in their previous life? Morong Chi said, Grandmaster, since you know, why did you still accept me? He was no longer in high spirits. He looked very down and out. Didn't you kneel for so many years to become my disciple? Hanju asked with a smile. Morong Chi was stunned before he smiled bitterly. I implicated Grandmaster. Hanju snorted. Don't you understand what I said just now? If you acknowledge me as your Grandmaster, I'll protect you. Even if it's the Divine Palace, I won't be afraid. Just stay on the cultivate, diligently become Immortal Mountain and cultivate well. When you have the capital to take revenge, you'll kill your way back. But what? Do you think I'm an ant in front of the divine palace? I cultivate in peace. If the divine palace had discovered you, they would have come long ago. Morongchi was silent. Hanju said meaningfully, you might have been very powerful in your previous life, but here, your previous life's identity is not considered outstanding. Some people are more ridiculous than you. Morongchi was shocked and looked at the others. The others looked at each other. The black hell chicken said smugly, of course. I'm a phoenix. Do you know the origins of a phoenix? Longhao said proudly, disciple nephew, what are you afraid of? Is the divine palace very strong? I'm the son of the heavenly emperor. Wait for me to take. In any case, I'll avenge you in the future. Morongchi smiled and said proudly, I'm not afraid of the divine palace. I'm just afraid of implicating you guys. There's no need for you to do anything. In the future, I'll challenge the divine palace alone and let all their immortal emperors perish. Hanju sized him up carefully and felt that he didn't change much. He hadn't completely transformed into a stranger. Perhaps Morongchi had only obtained his memories, and his personality was still the same. Master, what's your relationship with the heavenly court? Morongchi suddenly asked. Hanju said, you can go to the heavenly court if you want in the future. I can help you. Morongchi understood what he meant. Then, Hanju stood up and returned to the connate cave abode. Everyone surrounded Morongchi and asked about his past. Morongchi didn't reveal anything. Just as Sun Chang'an wouldn't mention his previous life, Dao Comprehension Sword followed Hanju into the cave abode and asked curiously, Master, what's his identity? Tell me. I definitely won't tell anyone. Hanju sat on the bed and told her what he knew about Morongchi. Dao Comprehension Sword was dumbfounded. She didn't expect Morongchi to have such a high status. It was too terrifying. Hanju said seriously, this matter cannot be revealed, including the other disciples of the hidden sect. Dao Comprehension Sword nodded heavily. She also knew that this was not a joke. The nine-tailed demon empress has developed hatred towards you. Current hatred points, 6 stars. A line of words suddenly appeared in front of Hanju. He couldn't help but frown and immediately checked his interpersonal relationships. Nine-tailed demon empress, late-stage grand unity golden immortal realm, one of the demon empresses of the demon court, the mother of Crown Prince Tenza. When she learned that you killed him, she developed hatred towards you. She won't rest until you're dead. Current hatred points, 6 stars. Hanju frowned even more. This still happened, after all. He immediately took out the Book of Misfortune and started cursing the nine-tailed demon empress. After cursing for 5 days, he continued cursing the other enemies. You guys, if you want to blame someone, blame the nine-tailed demon empress. Hanju thought silently. Several months later, before he finished cursing, Detaibai's divine sense fluctuation came from the heavenly Tao token. Hanju established a connection with him. Don't leave the territory under the heavenly court in the future. Detaibai's tone was solemn. Hanju responded positively, you must be joking. I've no intention of going out anyway. Detaibai asked, aren't you curious about why I said this? Need you ask? It must be because of Crown Prince Tenza, Hanju said helplessly. He felt that Detaibai was too busy recently. Detaibai sighed. That's not the case. Something even more terrifying has happened. Chapter 217 Reincarnation Golden Immortal Realm. What's wrong? The heavenly court is about to collapse? Hanju asked nervously. Just because he killed the son of the demon emperor? Detaibai said, how is that possible? Hanju waited for him to continue. However, he suddenly fell silent. Hanju frowned. What was wrong with Detaibai? Did he disconnect? The heavenly court's network is so poor. After a long while, Detaibai sighed again and said, I don't know why, but the divine palace actually started a war with the Golden Crow divine clan. The demon court and the Buddhist sect have formed an alliance again. The heavenly court is going to be in a passive state. In the following period of time, the heavenly court will be in a tough spot. But it's fine. This is not the first time this has happened. Hanju couldn't help but mourn for them. They had finally allied with the Divine Palace, but they had actually provoked the Golden Crow Divine Clan. Perhaps it was related to the Demon Court, but no matter what, Hanju couldn't care less. The Demon Emperor won't find trouble with me, right? Hanju asked. Deities said, the Demon Emperor has many sons. Crown Prince Tenza is not outstanding. The Demon Emperor is quite annoyed with him, in fact. He won't act recklessly. The Demon Court and the Buddhist sect can't trust each other forever. As long as you don't leave the Scarlet Cloud world or the Heavenly Court's territory, that's fine. Hanju couldn't help but ridicule. It's only been a few hundred years, but there's already a second person who wants to clean up the Scarlet Cloud world. Does the Heavenly Court not have any patrols? Yes, we will send stronger Heavenly Generals next. Where's the Flame Lord Emperor? Have you found him? We found him. He's recuperating. That's good. Hanju didn't ask what happened to the Flame Lord Emperor. He was just a nobody and didn't want to be involved too much. Deities didn't continue chatting. After severing the divine sense connection, Hanju began to meditate and cultivate. No matter what, increasing his strength was the key, Hanju thought. Life was like this. Hanju felt that he was already low profile enough, but he would still encounter trouble occasionally. He ascended, there might be more trouble, and one could leave the mortal world completely, much less live a peaceful life. He had to persist on his Tao heart. He would cultivate on the same path as before. Spring passed and autumn came. Another 40 years passed. Hanju finally reached the perfected reincarnation mystic Immortal Realm. The golden Immortal Realm was right in front of him. Hanju was excited. He had waited a long time for this breakthrough. It was longer than any previous breakthrough. After breaking through, Hanju immediately took out the Book of Misfortune and started celebrating at the same time. He opened his emails to check on his friends. Your good friend Sword God Emperor was attacked by the Golden Crow Divine Clan, X12098. Your grand disciple Feng Liang was attacked by demons, X16782. Your good friend Ji Xianchen was attacked by demons, X237644. Your disciple Su Qi spread bad luck. The Dragon Immortal Island has encountered an extremely cold calamity that is rare in tens of thousands of years. Your good friend Zhou Fan has gone through an ordeal to reach the Penglai Immortal Island. Your grand disciple Morong Qi has comprehended the true meaning of heaven and earth and awakened his innate great Tao. Your good friend Divine General was attacked by a group of demon immortal emperors, X15. Your good friend Divine General has killed an immortal emperor. His providence has increased greatly. Hanju continued reading. The cultivation mortal world was still considered calm. The immortal world was really in chaos. The heavenly court and the demon court had truly started a war. This was even more exaggerated than when great sage equaling heaven had wreaked havoc in the heavenly court. The divine general was as ferocious as ever. He was surrounded by 15 immortal emperors and was not severely injured. He even counterattacked. Hanju persisted in cursing. Several months later, the curse finally ended. He continued to consolidate his cultivation and prepared to break through. It was said that once one reached the golden immortal realm, one could comprehend karma and deduce fate. They would almost gain immortality. Hanju was looking forward to it. After reaching the golden immortal realm, he wouldn't be far from becoming an immortal emperor. Of course, the immortal emperor realm wasn't Hanju's target. He wanted to surpass the deity realm and the zenith heaven realm. Only by becoming the strongest could he continue living. About 7 years passed. Hanju finally started to break through. He chased Tao Comprehension Sword out. Tao Comprehension Sword knew that he was about to break through and did not show any emotions. The disciples under the Fusong tree saw her coming out and didn't care at first. But when the Cultivate diligently become immortal mountain began to shake violently, they realized that Hanju was breaking through. Murong Qi sighed. Grandmaster's talent is truly ridiculous. In both my previous and current lives, I've never seen anyone with greater talent than him. This was the truth. In this life, when he got to know Hanju, The latter had yet to reach the Immortal Realm. Sun Chang'an smiled and said, "Actually, Master's identity has always been very mysterious. He might be the reincarnation of an expert from the immortal world." The Black Hell Chicken laughed. "Ha ha ha, of course. My master is definitely powerful." The Golden Crow said, "I've always felt that master is extraordinary." Xiao Air nodded. They couldn't forget the terror of being suppressed by Hanju. While everyone was discussing, Hanju had already entered the important moment of breaking through. In the numinous palace, immortal gods gathered. The heavenly emperor sat at the head of the table with an expressionless face. The atmosphere in the hall was very poor. Even the divine general's expression was dark. "No one can kill that immortal emperor of the demon court?" the heavenly emperor asked. The immortals looked at each other. 2402:800:6118, AAA 7, E5 CE, EB 97, E203:6B0C. Giant spiritual martial god said in a low voice, "Your Majesty, can't we invite those gods?" The heavenly emperor said calmly, "The 24 star emperors are already on their way back. They suppressed the edge of the chaos previously, so it will take them some time to return." The immortals were pleasantly surprised. "In that case, I'll fight him again. Although I can't kill him, he can forget about killing me," the divine general said. The other immortals urged. "No, once you attack, the dozens of immortal emperors of the demon court will come out in full force. They want to kill you too much. Yes, the demon court views you as a thorn in their flesh. Divine general, you just fought a huge battle. Don't act recklessly. The heavenly court cannot lose a divine general." Hearing the immortals' words, the divine general frowned, understood the logic, but the heavenly court needed someone to stand up for them. Otherwise, they would lose all their reputation. Ji Xianchen stood at the bottom of the heavenly generals. His blood surged. He wanted to stand out, but his cultivation was too weak. If he was strong enough, this would be his chance to become famous. The heavenly emperor glanced at Deities and said, "In that case, let's ask the crown prince." Crown prince, the immortals were in an uproar. The divine general narrowed his eyes. Deities was relieved. He smiled and said, "His Highness the Crown Prince has been waiting for a long time. He's just waiting for His Majesty to speak." An old immortal hurriedly asked, "Isn't His Highness the Crown Prince in Kunlun?" The heavenly emperor said calmly, "I brought him along when I returned from Kunlun. He should be unrivaled in the Emperor realm now." The immortals were even more excited. The heavenly emperor had many sons, but one of them was a legend of the heavenly court. Before the rise of the divine general, he was the court's signature combatant. Ji Xianchen was secretly curious. How strong was that crown prince to actually make the immortals so excited? 10 years later, Hanju finally broke through, early stage reincarnation golden immortal realm. Just as he broke through, Hanju's dharmic powers began to increase, and his soul also sublimated. His consciousness jumped out of the 5 elements and arrived in a gray space. Chapter 218 Jiang Yi, Emperor Realm Mystical Power. "This is," Hanju looked around curiously. As he spread his divine sense, he seemed to sense a mysterious power hidden in the dark fog. Somehow, Hanju saw a river that concentrated all the myriad worlds in the universe and had no origin or end. In this river, Hanju saw all living beings and the vicissitudes of life. He even saw his past and some unfamiliar scenes. Perhaps it was the future. Hanju had a thought. Could this be the river of destiny? Hanju flew towards the river of destiny. When he wanted to see his future, the future self in the river of destiny suddenly turned to look at him. Hanju felt like he was looking in a mirror. Don't pry into the future. The change in karma is the greatest variable, the other Hanju said from within the river of destiny. Hanju immediately retracted his gaze and stopped prying into the future. He turned around and saw another river. It was mysterious and beautiful, like a dream. A beam of light suddenly swept over at an extremely fast speed. Even Hanju, who had broken through to the reincarnation golden immortal realm, couldn't react in time. His essence soul was struck. In an instant, he felt a powerful and vast power enter his body. this power was different from Dermic powers. It was even more unfathomable. Hanju quickly entered a mysterious and profound state, epiphany. His essence soul burst forth with a dark light that was close to black. It looked very similar to the surrounding darkness, but it also looked out of place. Some time passed, Hanju finally regained his consciousness. He had grasped a new power. Congratulations on comprehending the great Tao of life and death. As this is your first time comprehending the great Tao, you have the following choices. 1. Obtain a heavenly Tao spirit stone. 2. Obtain a mystical power inheritance. Hanju silently chose the first option and began to carefully comprehend the great Tao of life and death. He guessed that the reason why he could comprehend the great Tao of life and death was related to the 6 paths of reincarnation technique he had been cultivating. The power of the great Tao was far stronger than Dermic powers. Hanju couldn't completely control this power. He only obtained it. You actually comprehended the great Tao of life and death at the golden immortal realm. Kid, you cultivate my cultivation technique. A cold snort sounded, scaring Hanju. He turned around but couldn't see anyone else. Hanju was nervous and didn't know how to leave and return to his body. Could the providence of an immortal emperor's descendant be real? Hanju had a strange expression and was a little flustered. How did the system arrange my identity? Hanju asked carefully. Senior? He didn't receive a reply. The voice stopped speaking. After a while, Hanju suddenly felt a powerful repulsive force pushing him out of the dark space. In the blink of an eye, he had returned to his body. Name, Hanju. Lifespan, 1681/12,399,999,999. Race, immortal, stellar primordial body. Cultivation, early stage of the reincarnation golden immortal realm. Technique, 6 paths of reincarnation, can be inherited. Great Tao of life and death. Magic, unparalleled finger divine sword. 7 illusionary steps. 3 pure shadow sword, unparalleled. 9 dragons devil expelling seal. Major Kiliocosm thunderstorm, wind god. Technique, still phase technique. Mystical power, 6 paths soul absorption. Heavenly punishment ghost deity sword. Imitate heaven and earth. Somersault cloud, grand unity. 10,000 swords sect. Tathagata incantation. 6 paths ultimate seal. Firmament sword chi, grand unity. Heaven earth mystic yellow world piercing sword finger, grand unity. Universe in the sleeves, door of reincarnation. Invocation technique, 3 heads 6 arms. Destiny sword chi great wheel. Karma, divine eye of reincarnation avatar. Equipment, 0.3 billion years of lifespan. This was longer than the life of Earth in his previous life. Hanju was in a good mood. He continued to consolidate his cultivation. After 3 years, his cultivation finally stabilized. He called Tao Comprehension's sword back in and took out the Book of Misfortune to curse the enemies. Several months later, Hanju began to improve his sword Tao mystical powers. When he came to the sword Tao River again, he felt very close to it. Hanju first improved the 3 pure world cleansing when he passed Liu Bei. The latter nodded at him. Hanju continued forward. This time, he wanted to see if his mystical power could surpass grand unity. As he advanced, Hanju didn't feel any pressure. When he exceeded his previous limits, he still didn't feel any pressure. After reaching the golden immortal realm, he had indeed become different. The figures advancing along the way decreased. After a while, Hanju finally felt the pressure, but he could still endure it. He continued forward. Suddenly, he saw a purple figure walking beside him. This fellow's pace was still increasing. Wanting to surpass him, Hanju quickened his pace. After 100 steps, both of them slowed down. Humph. A cold snort came from the purple figure. Hanju didn't reply and focused on advancing. Jiang Yi has a favorable impression of you. Current favorability, 1 star. Hanju ignored the notification in front of him. He would check later. Continue forward. After an unknown period of time, there was no longer anyone around. There was only the purple figure ahead, Jiang Yi. This Jiang Yi was something. He walked even faster than Hanju. Hanju already felt overwhelmed and couldn't walk anymore. Somehow, he felt an invisible shackle on his body. He had to break free. Hanju gritted his teeth and persisted. Jiang Yi suddenly stopped and turned around. The Emperor Realm is up ahead. Do you still want to continue? Emperor Realm? Hanju's eyes flashed with surprise. He was finally here, although he felt great pressure, it wasn't to the extent of backlash. Of course. Hanju smiled and said casually. Jiang Yi asked, "Who are you?" Hanju replied, "Heavenly Court, Sima Yi." Jiang Yi noted down this name and did not say anything else. Hanju found it difficult to move, and his body began to tremble. He began to use all his strength to break free from the restraints on his body. Boom! Hanju felt everything in front of him explode. Immortal world, above the 9 heavens, countless bolts of lightning suddenly intertwined, blocking the light of the heavenly court and the numinous palace. The heavenly emperor suddenly frowned and muttered, "Emperor Realm?" He immediately observed heavenly court but did not find anyone undergoing tribulation, not a breakthrough in the cultivation realm. Could it be an Emperor Realm mystical power? The heavenly emperor began to sweep his divine sense across the 10,000 mortal worlds below the heavenly court. With a thought, he saw all forms of life. Soon, his gaze locked onto the scarlet cloud world. This aura, it was Hanju. This kid has comprehended an Emperor Realm mystical power? A look of surprise flashed across the heavenly emperor's eyes. Hanju kept surprising him, making him even more satisfied. He immediately waved his sleeve and concealed the heavenly secrets to prevent anyone from deducing Hanju and bringing trouble to him. Several months later, in the cave abode, 3 lines of words appeared in front of Hanju. Your mystical power, 3 pure world cleansing, has reached the Emperor Realm. As this is your first time comprehending an Emperor Realm mystical power, you have obtained a supreme treasure. Congratulations on obtaining the Supreme Grade Grand Unity Supreme Treasure God Slayer Sword. Chapter 219 Increase in Strength, Difference in Realm. God Slayer Sword, Supreme Grade Grand Unity Supreme Treasure, a fiendish treasure of the heavenly Tao. No karma is generated when killing enemies. It can absorb the heaven and earth fiendish aura for its own use. Hanju felt good when he saw the information about the God Slayer sword. He immediately took it out and started to make it recognize him as its master. The blade of the God Slayer sword was black and looked extremely evil. Especially the carving on the sword case, it looked like a sinister devil bearing its fangs. Hanju put it away and continued to comprehend the sword Dao. He wanted to raise all his sword Dao mystical powers to the Emperor Realm. In the blink of an eye, another 7 years passed. Hanju had already raised his strength in all aspects to his current limit. He began the simulation trial. Deities was insta-killed, Flame Lord Emperor was insta-killed, against the Heavenly Emperor, Hanju was insta-killed, Marshal Shinpeng was insta-killed, Crown Prince Tenza was insta-killed, Dragon Subduing Buddha was insta-killed. Hanju opened his eyes. In short, he was still very satisfied, and one below the Immortal Emperor realm could kill him now. However, when he thought of how he had offended the Demon Court's Empress, he became wary. No, if he couldn't defeat an Immortal Emperor, how could he be considered strong? Hanju took a deep breath and restrained his pride. He took out the Heavenly Tao Spirit Stone and started upgrading the Book of Misfortune. Wasn't suitable to upgrade the God Slayer sword. It was a fiendish treasure that could easily devour its owner. How good would it be to give the Book of Misfortune an upgrade? It could still continue to deal with enemies. Hanju liked to kill the enemy before they attacked. He would try not to fight if he could. Tao Comprehension Sword was curious about Hanju's actions. Wasn't that an ordinary book? Could it be that master was lying to her? Hanju ignored Tao Comprehension Sword and spent a few days successfully upgrading the Book of Misfortune. Your Book of Misfortune has been upgraded to an Emperor Tao Numinous Treasure. Hanju was stunned when he saw it. It seemed that the Diamond 5 Elements bracelet was stronger because it was an Emperor Tao Supreme Treasure. Emperor Tao Numinous Treasures and Emperor Tao Supreme Treasures were above Supreme Grade Grand Unity Supreme Treasures. Hanju didn't think too much and started cursing the enemy. His lifespan would decrease after more than 5 days of consecutive cursing. Hanju planned to curse every enemy for 5 days without decreasing his lifespan. While cursing, Hanju opened the emails. Your good friend Ji Xianchen was attacked by a demon saint and was severely injured. Your good friend Di Taibai was attacked by demons, X5631. Your grand disciple Feng Liang was attacked by demons, X49323. your grand disciple Feng Liang fought and devoured a demon soul. His bloodline has transformed. Your good friend Sword God Emperor was attacked by your good friend Di Hongya and was severely injured. Your good friend Zhang Guxing was attacked by the Divine Palace Immortal Emperor. Your disciple Su Qi spread bad luck. Taoist Dan Qing's Tao heart has shattered and he's lost his sanity. The Heavenly Court and the Demon Court were still fighting, but from the looks of it, the Heavenly Court was beginning to gain the upper hand. They weren't attacked as many times as before, however, the Divine Palace was in a miserable state, especially the Sword God Emperor. It was unknown how the Divine Palace had offended the Golden Crow Divine Clan. Hanju suddenly felt that the Golden Crow Divine Clan was no weaker than the Divine Palace. It was even slightly stronger. Master, Li Yao is being hunted again, Tao Comprehension's sword suddenly said. She sat beside the Nine Heavens Galaxy water and turned her head to see the water surface. Hanju cursed and asked, "How's the situation?" Tao Comprehension's sword replied, "It's all right. No one is her match." After so many years, Li Yao must still be growing stronger. Hanju didn't ask anymore. Since Li Yao was fine, he couldn't be bothered to care. Tao Comprehension's sword watched with relish. 6 months later, Hanju put down the Book of Misfortune and continued cultivating. A few days later, Xing Hongxian suddenly returned. Hanju told Tao Comprehension's sword to go out and stayed alone with Xing Hongxian. "Husband, how's your cultivation recently?" Xing Hongxian sat beside him and asked with a smile. Hanju said, "It's all right." "What about you?" After not seeing her for so many years, Hanju really missed her. Xing Hongxian chuckled. "I've also been well." "Forget it, cut the crap. Let's get down to business." The two of them started messing around. A month later, they stopped. After Xing Hongxian put on her clothes, she began to describe her experiences over the years. Although it was risky, it was still smooth sailing. Xing Hongxuan's cultivation level was already at the void amalgamation realm. She was very satisfied with her cultivation progress. "Husband, how many realms higher are you compared to me?" Xing Hongxian asked curiously. Hanju muttered, "Let me count. About 9. Xing Hongxian. Several days later, she left. Xing Hongxian also offered a treasure to him this time. Unfortunately, Hanju didn't think much of it and instead taught her a mystical power. Life returned to normal. Hanju hoped that the days would be peaceful and that no one would disturb him. It wasn't boring to feel his cultivation level increase every day. The disciples of the hidden sect couldn't take it. After Zhou Mingwei obtained Hanju's agreement, he went down the mountain to train. Tu Linger also began to walk the world. Sun Chang'an, Longhao, the three-headed Wyrm king, the black hell chicken, the two golden crows, Chushuren, and Morong Chi were still cultivating. The three-headed Wyrm king looked at the black hell chicken and asked, "You don't plan to go out for a walk in your life?" The black hell chicken said disdainfully, "What's there to do outside? The chaotic heavenly dog has already gone out. With your cultivation level, you shouldn't be in danger, right?" "No, that dog's son is probably dead." "Are you afraid?" "Afraid of what?" "Are you afraid of the outside world?" The black hell chicken fell silent. The others couldn't help but open their eyes. They didn't expect that the usually annoying black hell chicken was actually afraid of the outside world. On careful thought, it made sense. It had never descended the mountain. The black hell chicken flew into a rage. "How can I be afraid? It's just not time yet." Unfortunately, no one believed it. Inside the connate cave abode, Hanju opened his eyes and frowned slightly. The black hell chicken was having social anxiety? Could it be that he had scared it too much? The current black hell chicken was already at the body integration realm and was not far from the tribulation transcendence realm. With this cultivation level, it was very difficult to encounter danger in the mortal world. After all, it had obtained many inheritances from Hanju. It could easily defeat ordinary tribulation transcendence realm cultivators. "I'll force it to go out when it reaches the Mahayana realm." Hanju thought silently. He now treated the entire Scarlet Cloud world as his home, so there was no big deal moving around in it. 13 years later, Di Taibai came to visit. This time, he came personally. Hanju had no choice but to tell Dao Comprehension's sword to go out again and talk to him alone. D. Taibai noticed the 9 heavens galaxy water and the resurrection lily beside it. The resurrection lily had already grown a lot and was beginning to produce immortal chi. This kid actually has quite a few treasures. D. Taibai thought silently. He didn't ask. Everyone had their secrets. The demon court has already begun to retreat. How's your cultivation level? D. Taibai asked. Hanju's cultivation level was still stagnant at the true immortal realm. In D. Taibai's opinion, this fellow had used some methods to deliberately conceal his cultivation level. It was definitely not his true cultivation level. Hanju hesitated and said, "It's alright. I'm almost at the golden immortal realm." D. Taibai sighed. Your breakthrough speed is really fast. It won't be long before you can join the heavenly court. Hearing this, Hanju was even more conflicted. Chapter 220 Hanju's Nature, Golden Crow Prodigy. Can I stay here and cultivate unless the heavenly court is in trouble? I don't want it to be too troublesome, Hanju said helplessly. He really didn't want to go to the heavenly court. Wherever there were people, there would be trouble. The world was a network of relationships. Hanju didn't want to waste his energy on managing it. Even if he chose to be alone, trouble would still come. It wasn't that staying away from trouble meant that there was no trouble. D. Taibai asked in confusion, why are you so afraid? You don't want to make a name for yourself, nor do you want to be a revered immortal. With the heavenly court and his majesty backing you, no one in the court will dare to provoke you, just like the divine general. It was fine if he didn't mention the divine general, but once he did, Hanju panicked. The divine general was a pitiful laborer. Although he was majestic, he would also be severely injured. Hanju didn't want to be a divine general. He shook his head and said, I don't want fame and fortune. I only want to live. The heavenly court has done me a favor, so I naturally have to repay it. I just hope that I can repay it at the critical moment. I'm willing to be the heavenly court's guardian and not a divine general who has to expand the territory. D. Taibai smiled helplessly. This kid. Really cowardly. This was the first time he had encountered such a prodigy in all the worlds. Which prodigy had such a temperament? D. Taibai shook his head and said, after the war between the heavenly court and the demon court ends, the heavenly court will choose 10 prodigies to go to the Tao sect to learn. There will be a supreme Taoist preaching. His Majesty has given you a spot. Do you want to go? Hanju frowned and said, forget it. Let others have it. My potential is already outstanding. If I give this opportunity to others, I can also help the heavenly court increase their combat strength. This is a rare opportunity. There's an immortal emperor's Tao attainment technique. To me, it's useful but not necessary. All right. D. Taibai frowned. He felt that Hanju was too conceited. But on second thought, his potential indeed made him qualified to be conceited. D. Taibai continued, His Highness the Crown Prince has returned and is about to visit the true dragon race. Are you willing to go? The true dragon race has many divine weapons. You can choose one that you like. Thank you for your kind intentions. I don't need it for the time being. D. Taibai was convinced this kid didn't want to leave this mortal world. The two of them chatted for a while more before D. Taibai left. Hanju heaved a sigh of relief. Don't disturb my Tao heart. Hanju thought silently. After D. Taibai left, Tao Comprehension's sword returned to the cave abode and asked curiously, why is that old man a little angry? Who knows? Hanju said perfunctorily, Tao Comprehension Sword Tao, Master, can you teach me the second level of the heavenly sword Tao? I can't defeat the golden crow. How infuriating. Hanju rolled his eyes at her and said, your realm is too low. But, when you reach the Mahayana realm, I'll teach you step by step. Really? Tao Comprehension's sword immediately smiled in pleasant surprise. Hanju ignored her and focused on cultivating. He had to become an immortal emperor as soon as possible. Only then could he protect himself. Heavenly court, in a courtyard, in a stone pavilion, the heavenly emperor was drinking tea as he asked casually, Did he really say that? Deities bowed at the side and said helplessly, that's right. He just wants to stay in the mortal world and cultivate in peace. The Heavenly Emperor shook his head and laughed. He's already a golden immortal. Ah. How is that possible? How can my words be fake? Deities was shocked, and his imagination began to run wild. Hanju hid his cultivation and refused to come to the heavenly court. Could there be something else? The Heavenly Emperor said, don't think too much. This child is indeed too cautious. This is also good. The heavenly court doesn't lack a grand unity golden immortal for the time being. We lack an immortal emperor, an invincible immortal emperor, and even more so a deity realm cultivator. Deities nodded and tried to calm down. How is Feng Liang? The heavenly emperor continued to ask. Feng Liang is indeed worthy of being the son of heaven and earth. He grows very quickly, even faster than the other sons of heaven and earth. He can join this Tao sect group. Yes, it seems that Hanju's luck is not bad. He can bless his grand disciples. The other disciples of the hidden sect of the Cultivate diligently become Immortal Mountain are all good. Hanju really knows how to choose disciples. Great Providence is attracted to each other. Otherwise, there wouldn't be so many prodigies stepping on each other to ascend. True. The Heavenly Emperor didn't say anything else. He waved his hand and gestured for Deities to leave. After a while, the Heavenly Emperor knocked on the table. The space beside him began to ripple like water. 27 years had passed in the mortal world. Hanju had completely learned the golden immortal chapter of the 6 paths of reincarnation technique, but he hadn't comprehended any new mystical power. Instead, his control over the great Tao of life and death had increased. The 6 paths of reincarnation technique was an immortal emperor cultivation technique. It wasn't a problem for him to cultivate to the immortal emperor realm. However, he had to seek a higher cultivation technique at a higher level. To Hanju, the immortal emperor realm was still very far away. He didn't have to consider the reason for the cultivation technique for the time being. From his understanding, immortal emperors should be considered first-rate experts in the immortal world. On this day, a line of words appeared in front of Hanju. Detected bearer of connate Providence, check its origin. Hanju's heart skipped a beat. Was it another enemy? He immediately checked. Jiang Yi, perfected grand unity golden immortal realm, born with a chaotic skeleton. He is thought to be the reincarnation of a chaotic fiend celestial. He is the invincible prodigy of the Golden Crow divine clan. Ever since he was born, he has been invincible among his peers. He has never been defeated. Because he knows that you are from the heavenly court, he specially came to find you. Isn't this Jiang Yi the one I met in the Sword Dao River? Hanju frowned. Why was this fellow looking for him? His favorability was only 1 star. Hanju immediately checked Jiang Yi's location and discovered that he was stopped in the void of the Scarlet Cloud world, as if waiting for him to appear. Hanju used the simulation trial to see if he could defeat this fellow first. 5 minutes later, Hanju opened his eyes with a solemn expression. He couldn't kill Jiang Yi. The two of them reached a draw. Hanju was shocked. This was the first time he fought someone at the same cultivation level to a draw. This fellow was amazing. Hanju thought for a moment and still went to see Jiang Yi in case he caused trouble. Arriving in the void, Jiang Yi smiled when he saw him. He wore a golden robe that was burning with true sun flame, and his white hair fluttered slightly. Sima Yi, I didn't expect you to be raising some members of our Golden Crow divine clan, Jiang Yi said. Hanju asked warily, you know them? Jiang Yi said, their potential is poor and they are siblings. I already guessed their identities, but it's not important. I came to find you because I wanted to invite you to enter the Primordial Sword Domain together. What's the Primordial Sword Domain? The Primordial Sword Domain was a world created by the human school sect master of the Tao sect. It absorbed the souls of the dead who had undergone the immeasurable calamity. Those souls couldn't enter the cycle of reincarnation and could only be suppressed in the Primordial Sword Domain. Ever since the sect master of the human school died, the Primordial Sword Domain has become an ownerless place. The inheritance of the human school sect master is inside, especially his sword Dao. Thank you for your invitation, but I think I should pass. I don't want to leave this place. I have to protect this world. With your potential, you only became a mortal world guardian? Is the heavenly court blind? No, I asked for this, Hanju replied very politely. He was wary of Jiang Yi, afraid that he would suddenly attack. Jiang Yi stared at him and sized him up carefully. Hanju felt very uncomfortable being stared at.